All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We're going to be sharing a day in the life at Seismic. So first, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Allison Dunsmore, and I am Seismic's Talent Acquisition Operations Manager. And what that really means is that my team supports everything in recruiting and hiring minus the actual recruiting itself. So we're really here to support the candidate experience and make sure that anyone interacting with Seismic has a really informed and positive experience. I am coming to you from Dallas, Texas, although I'm a native New Yorker, and I've lived all over the country. And I've only been with Seismic actually about 6 months. So this is a really exciting and passionate presentation that I want to bring you all, because so much of this was only presented to me not that long ago. But I'm also joined by Matt Stocker, who's a talent acquisition partner, and I'll let Matt introduce himself today too.
Thanks, Allison. Hello, everyone. My name is Matt, like Allison said. I work on the talent acquisition team, so really focus on finding our next wave of talent coming in for all different types of positions with Seismic. Very similar to Allison. I think I started probably about a couple weeks after she did, so I'm coming up on my 6-month mark as well. So we will have a panel a little bit later on during the call, so looking forward to that and chatting with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. So today's agenda, first you'll get to know Seismic a little bit better. We'll also chat about our diversity, equity, and inclusion journey, also known as DE&I, if you hear me refer to it throughout the presentation as that. And then, as Matt said, we'll meet our early career panel, where you will hear from them and also get to interact with them a little bit later in the call in our Q&A, and then we'll wrap up with any extra questions that you may have at the end. So let's dig right in. So Seismic, in a nutshell, we ignite growth. And what that really means is that we empower teams everywhere to grow and win. Their success is what makes us the #1 sales enablement leader globally. And if you're not familiar with what sales enablement is, it's essentially the strategic use of people, processes, and technology to improve sales productivity and increase revenue. And what that really means is that we provide a platform to sales and marketing professionals to be able to do the job that they do and do it well. So we have a little bit more information for you. We're going to share this quick video so you can hear it from some professionals instead of me. So let's watch this really short video.
You've got big revenue goals, and Seismic helps you reach them. The Seismic Enablement Cloud unites your sales, marketing, and enablement teams under one platform. So new sellers like Sam have everything they need to grow and succeed from day one.
Everything I needed to ramp quickly was in Seismic. Right away, I had onboarding lessons, product training, and even practice scenarios to help me rehearse my pitch.
Seismic makes it simple for sales leaders to offer personalized coaching and automate feedback across the entire team. Marketing and enablement can easily keep everything organized, up to date, compliant, and on brand, so sellers are always using the best content.
Now that I'm meeting with buyers, all the content I need is right in Seismic, and it's easy to find. Plus, Seismic's AI helps me pick the best content for each prospect, right inside my email or CRM. And with Seismic, it's a breeze to personalize content. I can tailor this pitch deck to my prospect and send it to them. Just like that. I can also share curated articles on social, email my book of business about our new product, and compile materials in a digital sales room to share before our next meeting.
With Seismic's enablement intelligence, go-to-market leaders can get new insights about what really drives revenue.
We're looking at data across content, training, and even our CRM. With everything in one place, we can finally see what's really making an impact, and we can scale that to make our reps more productive. In fact, we're already creating content and lessons for the next product release based on what worked last time and what sellers are asking for.
Which means I can close bigger deals faster.
As the business grows, the Seismic Enablement Cloud keeps the whole team thriving and the revenue rising. As for Sam,
I just passed my quota. Again.
Never stop growing with Seismic.
So that's just a little bit about the platform itself that we offer, as well as some of the other engaging tools that come with our platform. So if you have questions about the platform itself, let's save them until the end of the call. Let's keep going. Okay, so a little bit about how far we've come. So Seismic was founded in 2010, truly from a basement to a brewery to beaches. Seismic has grown tremendously. Our founders really wanted to create a platform that made sense and have come so far in the last 10 years. We have increased the spread of technology that we offer and have expanded globally as well. So you can see in 2017, we went global, expanding to Australia, then Europe, just a year later. And in 2018, we crossed 100 million in annual revenue, becoming what's known in the tech world as a unicorn. But our journey didn't stop there in 2018. We've continued to grow. And in 2019, we were named Forbes Cloud 100, the first enablement company to make this prestigious list. Just last year, we struck a partnership with Enableship, which is a program to bring enablement career opportunities to underrepresented candidates. And in 2022, here we are, we're going to be celebrating with an annual company meetup in September. And employees from around the globe are going to be able to come together for the first time in several years after we've had all of this growth to really connect, take a minute to just celebrate our successes and see what's next for the future, 2023 and beyond. So we are continuing to grow and we're really, really proud of that growth. And you heard me mention that we are a global team. So we have different kinds of working environments and located truly across the globe. So here are just a couple of our offices, or not a couple, these are our locations, our physical brick and mortar locations. However, we have remote opportunities as well. There's one office that's missing on here because it just opened a couple of weeks ago, but we recently opened up an Austin, Texas location as well, which is really exciting for us. So when we think about the ways that we work, we have three types of workplace categories, if you will. So we have our in-office positions that require regular in-office work, a commute to the office every day. And it's really, what you think of when you think of working in the office. But then we have a flex office type of work. And this means you live within 75 miles of one of these offices and that you come into the office when needed or you choose. So then you have your third type of work, which is 100% remote. So you live more than 75 miles from the office. You may travel to meetings when required, and we reimburse for that. But depending on these categories and depending on the jobs that we have available, it will be spelled out for you what that job's expectations are. So some jobs have to be in the office versus being able to fall into the flex or the remote categories. But we're very clear on, what that looks like, what the work life looks like, and, how to make that a positive experience for you. And so when we think about what your positive experience should look like when working at Seismic, we have, benefits and experiences that are really tailored to the individual. And so we've just selected a few of our favorite that we wanted to share with you that we think are really, really special to Seismic. But the first one is flexible time off. And so when you think time off, you typically think paid time off. Well, what Seismic does is a little bit different. Our flexible time off policy is essentially taking time when you need it. You don't have to put in a request that meets a certain number of hours that you've worked. You get to take the time when you need it most. And that's a really special model because it's not paying into a time off policy. And then at the end of the year, we also have an end of the year recharge week where we shut down completely from the holiday season through New Year's to really take time to recharge. No expectations, not one team is working while one team is off. Truly, the company is shut down. You heard me mention annual company meetups. And we're really, really excited for our next meetup, which is happening in September. It's about 8 weeks away, and it's really all anyone can talk about at work right now. We're really excited to come together as an entire company of 1,500 people and see, what happens when we're all together, what conversations come of being in one room together and where we take the company next. We also offer paid parental, fertility leave, and family caregiver leave. because we know that everyone's situation is different and where they want to take their personal life and their home life matters too. And so being able to pair your work life with taking time to step away for your family is really important as well. And we also offer mental health benefits like our free Headspace membership, where we want to make sure that you as an employee are taking time, with flexible time off, recharge week, but also when you're taking time away from work, that you are in the right headspace to come back to work too. We truly care in how we interact with our communities. And so we have our Seismic Cares employee volunteer program. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about the programs that we offer, I really recommend checking out our website and learning more about how we're involved in the community and in the news and just anywhere that Seismic is popping up. One really, really special part of our company are our 9 communities of belonging, which we'll get into a little bit later. But if you've ever heard of employee resource groups, it's along those lines. And this might be really, really important for everyone on the call today. But when we think about your individual growth and development goals, we have an agile career paths mapped out for where we think you should grow, where you want to grow, and really comes together in a conversation to figure out what your developmental goals are going to be. And we map that out with you. And then in all of this, we're really passionate about our one Seismic culture, where we celebrate wins, we encourage autonomy, ownership, and transparency over your career path and the direction you want to take it. And that is why you'll see some of these awards that we've won over the last few years. All of this ties into why we've won these awards and why this truly is a great place to work. So you heard me mention, career pathing, development, this one Seismic mindset, and this all comes together through what we call our mission, vision, and values. I won't read everything on this screen here, but really what it boils down to is that we ignite growth for people inside Seismic and then our customers. And this is how we do this. This is how we grow teams to, we empower our teams to grow and win and strive for these successes. And we have a quote from Janine here who, is able to bring her full authentic self to work every day. And this is how we do it. We really live and breathe these goals for ourselves. So really happy to share these with you today. And one way that we're doing this, and this is a new initiative that just launched within the last year, is through what we call Culture Labs. Culture Labs has essentially been on a roadshow across our offices in the United States, and we have virtual sessions as well, where we're looking at our mission, vision, and values, and we're having real conversations about these things. We're talking about how we show up at, how these values show up at work, how we are striving towards these values. What could we be doing differently? How do we solve for gaps in the way that we work together? What do we see that some teams are doing right and where we could improve? And these are real conversations that we're having to pay attention to, not only evolving as a company and being there for our clients and our customers, but how do we show up for ourselves as well? And what do we expect from our managers? And what do we expect from our leadership teams? And then how does that allow us to grow as well? And so we're not just saying all of this just to say it, we're actually living and breathing and figuring out ways to get there. And I think that's what makes Seismic a really unique place. And these culture labs are really demonstrating, our ability to talk, listen, and do the work. So I just really wanted to share some shots around the United States with you all, just real in-person activity. So this really ties into our DE&I journey that we've been on, our diversity, equity, inclusion journey. So I'll give you all a moment. Doug Winter is our CEO, and I don't know if you noticed now that you see Doug's picture here, but Doug was in a few of those photos from Cultural Labs. Doug shows up to these conversations. He's transparent. He talks about his perspective versus what other perspectives he's heard in the room. And he is really honest about his own DE&I journey and how we're all on it together. And I think that that's really important when it comes to transparency about DE&I, but also, in mapping out the journey for the company and mapping out the journey for himself. And I think we're all really empowered to be able to, look internally and figure out what DEI means to us individually too. So here are some of our DE&I milestones. We have 3 new full-time DE&I team members devoted to mapping out what our DE&I programs look like, our communities of belonging, which we'll get into in just a moment, and then how does it all kind of tie back together, and what projects are we working on, what programs are we offering, how do we show up and celebrate, in office, virtually, and so on. We also, as I mentioned earlier, Enableship, programs like Enableship or other programs that we have for early careers talent, how does that tie into the spaces that we show up in, the audiences that we're able to connect with, and then the new places that we want to be. So our DE&I team really focuses on, creating these opportunities within the company, and then also for prospective employees. And then we have our mentorship program that we just piloted recently. So that's in its newer phase, and really looking forward to seeing what comes out of it and seeing how the program continues to grow. We published our first DE&I impact report. And again, if you head to our Seismic website, you can check out the impact report and just how we, again, show up in the communities that we're in, both communities of belonging at Seismic, and then also how we connect with communities around our offices. And then we also announced our US fertility support as a benefit for 2022, which you saw on our benefits slide. And please, if you have questions about these milestones or any of the other content that I'm sharing today, definitely use our Q&A feature. So communities of belonging, you've heard me mention it a couple of times now. So what is a community of belonging? It's a voluntary group led by Seismic employees around shared identities, experiences, interests, and goals. The conversations that happen with our COBs are really, really thoughtful. We rely on business resources. We rely on the people in these communities to spur conversation and really create a culture of engagement, so everyone can show up in the way that they want to show up, feel like they belong, and have allyship. So here are our 9 communities of belonging that we have. And I think allyship is also a really important word here, is that if you are interested in joining the parents and guardians group, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a parent or guardian yourself. You're an ally, maybe you're a caregiver in some way, shape, or form, and you're looking for resources or people to connect with, and you just need advice, or you want to become a parent. And so these groups are really here to create supportive environments outside of the regular work that we're doing in our daily lives, and allow you to connect with people that you don't necessarily get to work with every day too. So you get to expand your network of, Seismic employees that maybe have something in common with you, and you didn't realize, that you could get all these other resources. So it's a really, really cool initiative, and we look forward to seeing this list of communities grow over time now that we have our DE&I team in place. So a little bit about our summer internship program, switching gears here. So if you are a first, second, or third year student, the summer internship program might be really interesting to you, and we just wanted to share a little bit about it. So the summer program is a 10 to 12 week program. We typically post our opportunities in the fall for those departments that are going to be hiring interns for the summer experience. So for 2023, please check out our careers website coming up in probably late August through October for those opportunities. Our interview process is pretty typical. We have a phone screen with a recruiter. You'll most likely have a video interview. And then if we can bring you in person, we would love to have an in-person interview, but we also have virtual opportunities. So a virtual team interview is also possible. And again, it's based on location and what the expectations are of the internship. Our internships really focus on growth and development. So each department looks a little bit different in terms of the type of work that you're going to be doing, what projects you're going to be doing, but really at the end of the day, it's all about setting goals and achieving those goals by the end of your internship. Also getting exposure to executive leadership and really learning about Seismic, and also just, where do you want to take your career? Is this the right path for you? Is there something else within Seismic that seems interesting that, maybe you have 2 years of internship opportunity, and so maybe next year you come back, following year you come back and you do something else. So it's a really great way to just get exposure to what our company does overall and all the players that kind of come together to make that possible, which is, the last bullet point on here, connection and community. So you get those networking opportunities and the, chance to really meet and build opportunities that could last a lifetime. But I want to get to the exciting part of our presentation. So I am going to hand it over to Matt, who's going to introduce our panel of early career talent.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Allison. Great overview on everything. Yeah, like Allison mentioned, this is the exciting part of today's conversation. We have 4 current team members on the Seismic team with us that will be able to talk, through their own career journey and what it's like to be, an employee with Seismic. So we're going to kick things off with introductions. So I'm going to have Toni go first. So we will cover name, what your job title is, when did you start, and then what you do here, just like a brief overview of what you do on a daily basis with Seismic. So Toni, whenever you're ready, you can kick things off for us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. Hello, all. My name is Toni. I am currently a sales development rep at Seismic. I'm on the outbound team. I started with Seismic in March. Yes, I want to say March 3rd was my exact start date. And essentially, I'm on the hunt and gather side of the team. I think that's the best way for me to describe it. My day-to-day involves prospecting into accounts and finding good leads that may potentially lead to them becoming customers, and then of course generating more revenue for the company. So that's a little about me.
Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Isa Munoz. I'm an associate enablement analyst based out of Tampa, Florida, which I saw a couple of you guys are from. I actually joined Seismic as the first enablement intern back in August of last year, and then decided to stay on full time after graduating from the University of Florida this past December. I had no idea what sales enablement was. All I knew is that I really enjoyed tech and I wanted some more experience before truly kicking off my career. But my role now is focused on a subset of the broader enablement team, a team called Skill Enablement. And Skill Enablement is focused on creating voluntary skill development programs for our go-to-market customer-facing roles. So that's anyone who talks to a customer in sales, customer success, marketing, and strategic alliances. And the programs that our team creates can be offered in a couple different ways. It might be self-guided content, a virtually led training session, and or creating certifications for the teams that we support. It's definitely a unique role and it takes a second to explain, but it's sort of a blend of instructional design meets enablement and some consultative elements. At least that's the best way that I can put it. But either way, I'm excited to be a part of this panel and hopefully give you guys some more insight into what it's like working at Seismic.
I love it. Thank you, Isa. What's up, guys? KAREEM over here. Pleasure to meet all of you guys virtually. I'm actually on Toni's team as well. I'm a sales development representative on our global team. I started on January 10th, so I've been here about 8 months now. It's definitely flying by. Being a sales development representative basically means I'm on the sales team. I'm working on global accounts. As an SDR, I basically source opportunities and pipeline for the company through my outreach to prospects. I do that by identifying their specific needs at their organizations and providing a value for them. I help build long-term relationships with these prospects, and I'm basically the initial point of contact that locks in meetings and builds rapport with these prospects. So on a daily basis, I'm making cold calls, emails, researching accounts and prospects, following up on leads, running discovery calls, introducing prospects to global account executives, and more or less being the preliminary source as a deal starting and helping guide that deal to its final stages. So again, pleasure to meet all of you guys. Excited to be on here, and I'll pass it over to Steve.
Thanks, KAREEM. I appreciate it. I'm Steve Reynolds. I am a strategic consultant primarily on the Lessonly side of the Seismic world. What that is a learning management software, so the training aspect of things. What I do generally on a day-to-day is I help our customers facilitate project initiatives. So what it is they want to do, something like, I don't know, sales onboarding. That's not an only use case, but it's one of the major ones I work with. And that is helping companies train their new salespeople or new customer support people and how they can best utilize our products in conjunction with what they might be doing outside of our products. I try to get them to use as much as we possibly can, but really trying to really focus on a customer's business line impact. So make sure that they're getting the best bang for their buck.
I love it. Thank you so much, everyone, and excited to dive in a little bit more, like with each person. Toni, we're going to start with you as far as some questions that we have in mind. I think and leading up to this call, we had some time to speak just as far as like the career journey and what that looks like and how it's different for everybody. So would love for you to share with the group, it's talking about your career journey and your experience of us in technology and your career pathway.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I did not have a straight from college, straight into sales journey. My background is primarily in social work. And so at the end of 2021, I really wanted to make a career change. And I joined a mentorship program called Us in Technology. And their primary goal is to really help diversify the tech space. And so basically through their mentorship and their training, I was offered an opportunity to apply for a position with Seismic. And that's really kind of what helped transition me into this space, is by joining that mentorship program. And so I learned a lot about Seismic just from the opportunity, but a lot of my roots and foundation stem from my joining Us in Technology. So that's kind of how I got here.
I love it. I love it. And so one quote I heard the other day, that the hardest job you can ever have is finding a new job. And I think that's so true, because whether you are currently coming out of college and you're trying to find that first job, or even if you are farther along in your career and you're trying to find that next opportunity, I think, looking for jobs can always be a difficult task. So next question for you, Toni, would just be, when you were looking for your first job, what stood out about Seismic compared to other companies that you were looking at or even interviewing with?
Awesome. So one of the things that definitely stood out to me about Seismic is that they had a well-established DEI, like a point of contact, and that was really kind of fully developed, and that was exciting to me. Also at that time, when I started, the DEI main person, I forget her job title, but she was the lead and was an African-American woman. And so I was like, what better way to show that you really stand behind what you're saying than by having someone, an African-American woman in tech, lead that initiative. So that was definitely very, very, very intriguing, and what made me more drawn to Seismic. Other things that were really important to me were culture, career development, and training. And from the very beginning of interviewing, like I could feel that from each level of the interview, each phase of the interview, I could really understand that was something that you guys really stood behind. And like it's not just conversations, but this is how we're, supporting you in this way. And so it just made sense. Also, because I'm new to tech, I could go to the website and read customer reviews and read who you guys were partnered with, and really understand what the product was and the problems that you guys solved for. So that was important to me, that even though it was, highly technical, it was brought across in language that anyone could really understand. And so that made me feel more confident in my ability to, be able to sell it. So that was some of the check marks for me. So absolutely.
Yeah, those are great to hear. And I think, it's so important to remember that, like, even when you are the one interviewing for jobs, that it's a mutual match, right? Like, I think, like, especially in interviews and conversations, you want to make sure the company that you're talking to checks all your boxes as well. So last question for you, Toni, and you touched on this a little bit, but as far as like what Seismic does here, like, how does Seismic empower you being a woman in tech?
So being a woman in tech in this space, the community of belongings is definitely a huge space that definitely helps me feel empowered. I am a part of Women in Sales, Seismic Sisters, community of belonging. Like I'm in so many different spaces and networking within those spaces. And I definitely feel the support of not only my teammates, but my managers. And so a check-in always. There's always a pulse check on, what is it that you want to do, and, encouragement, to make those connections and to network once you're in that space. So I feel supported all around. Seismic is an awesome company.
Yeah, no, that's so great. I think having that support, having the connection, I mean, even thinking about it like for myself too, like those are some things that that I can relate with, when it comes to Seismic and what we have going on here. So that's great. Thank you so much, Tony. So the next questions will be for Issa. So Issa, your situation's a little bit unique because I feel like you've been here a little bit longer than some of us on the call, and coming from an intern and into a full-time position now. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the Seismic internship program?
Yeah, definitely. Before joining Seismic as an intern, I was actually interning for a medical device company, which seemed really left field from what I'm doing now. But I actually found my internship through LinkedIn. And finding opportunities in the fall, as some of you guys might know, is really difficult. It's definitely not common to find companies that have offerings in the fall, but I really wanted to squeeze in one last internship before I graduated. So luckily Seismic had something open, but I knew absolutely nothing about enablement. Like I mentioned, it definitely was a little bit daunting to jump into something super new on both sides, super new for me, but also super new for Seismic for having the first intern on the enablement team. But throughout the entire process, from interviewing to transitioning to my full-time role, everyone was extremely receptive and open to my own experiences throughout the process, because I think there was an understanding that I was, in a way, paving the way for like the next person who's going to go through the same internship experience. But my internship really gave me a wide scope of what enablement was. It is definitely different from other enablement teams because we are a sales enablement platform. But I was able to be involved in some really cool projects, like helping with our sales kickoff event, helping develop our communication strategy. So I felt like I had my hands in a little bit of everything. So I never really felt like just an intern. I felt like a member of the team. And I think that's why it made it really easy for me to make the decision to stay with Seismic and continue my career here.
Yeah, that's great. I think having just being valued as an intern, right? Like no matter if you're just starting as an intern or whatever position you may be with, like in Seismic, I think just having that feeling that you are contributing to your team and being valued is so important, no matter what your job title is. So Issa, last question for you would just be, what types of development opportunities? I know you talked about how you've been able to grow from an intern to a full-time team member, but what type of development opportunities has Seismic provided to you since joining the team full-time?
Yeah, this is super relevant to something I've been able to do this quarter. As I mentioned, my job is like this weird blend of enablement and instructional design, which are something I don't have formal education in. So I really wanted to take the time this quarter to put in the work of having something tangible to say, I know how to do this part of my job. So talking with my manager, she gave me the idea of taking a foundational certification course on instructional design. And I was able to finish up that this week, which is really cool. But I think that's a great example of how easy it is at Seismic to say what you think you need to do better and to perform and grow in your role. I think it's a really open and safe space to be like, hey, I think I should do X, Y, and Z, and this is what I think would be a great fit for me to do that. So I always felt really supported in that way. But also, like Tony mentioned, having that support system from the community groups of belonging has also given me exposure to other development opportunities. I think being able to create those relationships and have those mentors across the business and have those interactions that I won't necessarily have in my day-to-day has exposed me to different types of development opportunities, and is always giving me kind of the next step on what I can do maybe next quarter and who I should connect with then to kind of learn more. So yeah, like Tony, I've felt very supported, especially just stepping into my full-time role.
That is so great. Thank you so much, Issa. All right, next we will kick it over to KAREEM. And Issa, you just talked about exposure and having those opportunities. So first question for you, KAREEM, will be, you recently had an opportunity to join one of our company-wide calls and have a little presentation. So what was your experience like presenting to the whole company, and how has your network expanded since that opportunity?
Very good question, Matt. It's definitely obviously it's a very positive experience. It's truly a privilege speaking to such a talented group, and selfishly, it's a really great opportunity for me to build my own personal brand within the company. Luckily, I know a lot of you guys on here, as far as topic wise, I got to talk about one of our pillars, which was striving for success, and super lucky that I got to kind of nail in what I believe striving for success means to me. It's a topic I'm really passionate about, and I get to watch that value exercised every day here by everyone, so it wasn't too difficult. But since then, I received lots of positive support and recognition from my colleagues, and was able to expand my LinkedIn network and meet and just reach folks who I otherwise might not have had the chance to meet. I was definitely surprised at the amount of support that came flooding in when I returned to my Slack and my phone and whatnot. But we really do have such a dope team here. I would 10 out of 10 recommend. I would totally do it again. If anyone has a chance to do that, they really should. It can be a bit nerve-wracking at first when the number of people you're talking to live reaches upwards of 1,000 people. And that's even considering, like, I talk to prospects all day. I'm on the phones, I'm emailing all day, I'm talking to strangers all day. And even that's a little bit nerve-wracking for me. But it was definitely a really, really rewarding and gratifying feeling once I finished.
That's amazing. And for those who were paying really close attention, KAREEM was actually in that video that Allison displayed a few minutes ago as well. So KAREEM is just kind of like an internal celebrity here with the team. Still waiting for that autograph to come in, KAREEM. So hopefully you get to it and you get some time. So next question for you, KAREEM, is how is your time being in the San Diego office, which is where our headquarters is located at? How has that influenced yourself and your work and your overall experience as an SDR?
Yeah, definitely. My time at the San Diego office, it significantly positively impacted my work and experience as an SDR here. I don't know about everybody here. I'm personally an office person. I know a lot of people like to work from home, but I enjoy the structure of being in the office. It takes me about 20 minutes to get to work, 20 minutes back, far less distractions for me. At home, I got chores, I got dishes, laundry, TVs, I got the cutest cat in the world, all that stuff. So when I'm in the office, all I have is my monitors, my desk, and it's just an environment that's conducive to being productive at work. We have a great office here as well. I'm able to see fellow SDRs, people in my position working, and as well as directors and VP level guys in our sales org work. And I pick up on things that I might not otherwise pick up on if I was working from home. It's great being in a sales environment within the office where everyone's hustling and blowing up the phones and just getting after it at the same time. Our team here we're really competitive in a healthy fashion, I promise. Also, I have direct access to my manager. He's also in the San Diego office, so that's massively helpful for me. I've been able to meet a lot of great people here, and the company does such an amazing job making sure that the office experience is comfortable and also conducive to being successful. We have every version of caffeine you can imagine here: snacks, food, catered lunches on the company on Thursdays. When I get in here, I can crush a workout in the gym downstairs before work, shower, and just simply walk upstairs to get my day started. And that fires me up to start my day. I love that.
That's great. That's great. And I feel like a theme of our call today so far has been a lot of around just growth and development and like what those opportunities look like, within Seismic. So for you, KAREEM, and this will be the last question for you, as far as like, when you look at what's next in your career, what is that? Like, what goals and milestones like are you focused on reaching right now?
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, I definitely want to continue to crush my number. I don't know how many of you guys here are interested in getting into sales, but sales is obviously quite a number-driven position. But I personally love that. I love chasing my quota, attaining it, and then shattering it. As far as my immediate goals are concerned, I want to continue to be a top 5 SDR in the organization and help generate pipeline and help source revenue for the company. It's not really every day that people get to say the work that they put in directly affects the bottom line of the company's revenue, and I'm definitely proud to say that the work that I do does just that. As far as my future personal goals are concerned, I'm 100% focused on becoming an account executive here at Seismic and taking on more sales responsibilities and closing deals, and hopefully moving my way up to be a global account executive one day. But I also love watching new people come in and begin a position that I started in 8 months ago and watching them develop and progress and ramp up. It's fun being able to help those guys out and go from being a new guy to being a leader on a team and someone people come to for advice. I definitely know how it felt when I first got here and how much I looked to our team for help and guidance, and everyone here was so accepting of me and just so helpful. So the way I look at it, it's my obligation to give back and do the same thing.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Kareem. All right, so last person on our panelist is Steve. So Steve, we talked a lot about, whether it be career road mapping and career transitioning and all that good stuff and pathways. And, for you, like you started your career in education and have taken like a couple, moves since then. Would love to hear from you. Like, how did you end up in sales enablement? Was it more so like job shadowing? Was it from a referral? Would just love to hear a little bit more about that.
Ending up in sales enablement basically on accident, for lack of a better term. Yes, I was a teacher once upon a time ago. That's what I went to college for. I did that for a little while. But teaching doesn't exactly hit the financial goals you might want. And then there's also some work-life balance-y stuff that may or may not exist. If you have a teacher in your family, if you don't, you don't. But I went into the public sector, using air quotes there. And as making transitions, I made a strong focus to look at positions that lean into my strengths, stuff that I'm interested in, things that I'm good at, things that I have lots of experience in. So I worked in a sales organization and eventually found myself into their operations space. And I was teaching all the people how to do all of the things. Teaching. I knew of a different program that I used while I was teaching. I ended up working for that company and then wanting to kind of go back into non-education. I found Lessonly, which was acquired last August, I think, something like that. And that's how I accidentally found Seismic, is that the company I was working for was acquired, and it's been a phenomenal shift. With Seismic, I really like what we do. I really like who we impact. And more importantly, it's because what I do is very teaching forward, education forward, helping people be better at what they do. It speaks to who I am.
No, that's such a great answer. Thank you, Steve. And I think, a lot of us can look at, our careers and if you feel like you're not in a current position that is really, leaning into your strengths, like you talked about, Steve, like I think, there's opportunities out there. Like I even know for myself, like I've transitioned like my career of like where I want to be and where I want to focus on. So Steve, like what piece of advice would you give to someone who is looking to transition their career? Like, I'm sure, like, I know for myself, like you have those moments where you feel a little bit intimidated, like imposter syndrome is a real thing. Yes. So like, how did you combat that? And like, how did you just get through it?
So realistically, it was at the time when I left education, it wasn't the cool thing to do like it is now. So I had to go through the hurdle of articulating why a teacher's skill set is good in a corporate setting. And that at the time was very difficult for some folks to just process. And that sense of, man, can I do this? Is this even worth it? Is there. And much like Kareem and Tony in the sales world, it's perseverance, not exactly accepting no as an answer, but also leaning into my strengths. Hey, I'm really good at presenting, or I'm really good at content development, or I'm really good at XYZ thing. Find things at companies that I like, maybe companies I've never heard of, maybe companies that are adjacent to those that I do like, and see if there's a position in those spaces that my skill set could fit. And much like a baseball player who only has 3 tools, you can coach me into 1 or 2 more. So I'm looking at positions that I may not necessarily have all the qualifications for, but I know in myself, being a learner, I can do it.
Yeah, that's great. I really appreciate that. And then just last question for you, Steve, just to to wrap up our panel here, like now that you've been in the enablement space, on the Lessonly and now Seismic side of things, like, what does your work-life blend look like? How do you balance everything, from your side of things?
It's definitely not impossible like it once was back in the education days. It's very easy here at Seismic to be able to communicate with my manager or management team and say, hey, I need X time off, or I need to take care of this thing today that just suddenly showed up. I'm looking at you Monday with COVID closures at daycare. And having my work say, yeah, you can go handle your business that's outside of work, with the trust that you need to build with that management team that you're going to get the job done kind of regardless. So the work-life balance is absolutely there. And it definitely comes with the understanding that you have to do the work part, not just the life part. So yeah, it's absolutely there. I've never, ever had an issue being able to take care of what I want to do outside of work.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's so important. And as like, if someone's looking for a new job or transitioning careers, like we were talking about, like you have to have that balance and that blend. Well, that wraps up our panel here. Toni, Isa, KAREEM, Steve, can't thank you all enough for joining and being a part of this. Like, we can talk about highlights of why being at Seismic is awesome, but I think like giving everyone the opportunity to hear from the four of you is such a huge thing. So really appreciate you all being here, and can't thank you enough. So with that being said, Allison, I will pass it back to you.
Thanks, Matt. I'm going to stop sharing my screen actually, and we're going to jump into some of the questions that we have here. So this is really going to be for anyone on the Seismic team to answer. So if you feel like it's the right question for you, just answer it. The first one is, how flexible are the career paths within Seismic? And I'm going to give a quick intro, and then anyone else that wants to share on this one. But we do have like specific career mapping based on, if you know where you want your career to go, we have those jobs outlined, like you would be in this role, then you would be in a manager role, and you'd be in a senior manager role, director, whatever it looks like, right? We know what that career path looks like. But if there's something else you're interested in and you need to figure out how to get to that point, we can look to see, hey, well, someone in this role needs to get these skills to then transition here, to then go here. So you can jump around in your career, and we have it all mapped out for you. So I think that's a pretty cool experience. But anyone else have anything on that from the Seismic team? I feel like it's pretty standard, but okay, great. And Toni, I think you talked a little bit about this, and really there's no one on the call from the DEI team to truly answer this question, but what is your definition of a successful DE&I, and how has your work life at Seismic changed or evolved that definition? I would say that we're really transparent in how we come across, and just having conversations about DEI. We are a newer company, and when you really think about it, we're a late stage startup. So we've been around for 10 years, but having this many employees, this is new for us. And so figuring out what those conversations look like on a much larger scale, it's all about transparency. But I think really at the end of the day, like, our definition is like, everyone gets to show up and be who they are and be an individual, but also get their work accomplished and feel good about where they are and the environment that they're working in. And when we have issues or there's something happening in the micro environment, like in the world that we can't control, we're talking about it at work. So you don't have to feel like you're on an island by yourself and you're dealing with these things alone. But anyone else have anything to contribute to that?
I would say once I'm, of course, hired, transparency, definitely. Allison, you definitely touched on it. And that comes from Doug on down. I think one of, I forget the title of the big meeting we have with everyone on.
Like our town hall.
Our town hall. And when they like break down, like they show you the numbers, this is where we were in this space at this time, and this is where we are now, and this is where we're trending regarding hiring, people from different diverse spaces. So like you can't argue the numbers. And it shows that it is important. It is not just you guys trying to check off a box of, this is what everyone is doing, but no, this is what we're doing. We really stand behind it. I really loved Doug's personal note, for Juneteenth, and just being open and starting those conversations, hard conversations, and him as a leader being like, okay, I'm putting myself at the front of this line to kick that off, so I definitely feel like I thought it was one thing coming in, and now really seeing like kind of the meat and potatoes and the background of how you get to the bigger goal of what you're saying you're standing for, that speaks volumes. So I all in all, there are numbers to support what Seismic is trying to do, and you can see where they started and where they're heading and have the progress and ground that they've made as far as their DEI efforts. So that was my 2 cents.
So I think that's perfect. And like, we're definitely giving you the positive, all the positives right now. Like, we have hard days at work too. Like, don't forget that like not every day is easy for us. Like, this is what makes Seismic special, but we have to have hard conversations. We have bad days. We get flexible time off to step away when we need it most, right? And so this is how it kind of all comes together, because if you're going to work, you may as well really like where you work and like the people you're working with, and be able to, show up who you are. I don't know, Matt, I think this is a great question for you, Matt, to answer. What kind of people are you looking to have as part of Seismic?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great question. I think, obviously, like, we can like talk about like jobs itself and like skills and characteristics that we're looking for each job. But I think like high overview, like, we want people that are joining the organization to add to our culture. I think like it's always a thing where companies talk about, like, are they a culture fit? Are they, kind of going to fit in like what we have going on here? But, from a DE&I standpoint, I think the great thing about what we have going on here at Seismic is just like how we are always wanting to get better. We're always wanting to put ourselves in a good position to grow and just perform better as a team. And that starts with people joining our team. And that's one of my favorite parts about my job from the talent acquisition side of things is, I'm just one person in one role. We have lots of other talent acquisition partners on the team, but I think it's a super rewarding type of role where the people that we bring in, and whether it be like from the very beginning or when they officially start, like, I think like we contribute making a small impact to the organization. So at the end of the day, like, we're just looking for good team members that like we all want to be around, and that like we can really learn and grow from each other.
Thanks, Matt. I think this is a great question regarding our internship program. So Chelsea, feel free to jump in, and then Isa, feel free to jump in as well if you have anything to add. But I enjoyed hearing about the growth and experiences of employees on the job, but I would like to hear what a college intern would be required to do on the job. What skill sets are required, the training offered. So anything you can share about what that looks like.
Yeah, great question. I'll jump in. I actually help run our internship program. So we actually have a great group of interns that are with us this summer. A lot of those are engineering and product and sales interns, but we do have various internship opportunities that are opening up. We typically post those in the fall, and we recruit for our summer program, so we would be recruiting for next year this fall. But some of the things our interns have got to do this summer, we have a full program for them. It's been super awesome. So they actually attend Grow Getter series on a weekly basis, which is with all of our interns. And we have them meet with a leader or executive from each department. So they really get to see the big picture of Seismic as a whole. We also have fun virtual events for them. So we're going to be doing a virtual escape room in the next couple of weeks. We did a trivia game. And then in addition to that, we have a lot of developmental opportunities. So, like effective communication in the business world, things like that, you might not be learning necessarily in college that will help you in the professional world. So
anyone else want to jump in on internships or just their own experience?
Yeah, mine was during an off season, so I didn't have an intern buddy to go through it with, but during my interviewing process, I was kind of told what the parameters of my internship would be. And my manager also asked me like what my areas of interest were in. So I was able to help with, like I mentioned, our communication strategy, just becoming an expert really in our own internal version of our platform, which is really great. And generally just having conversations with partners for the enablement team, like understanding who we support and just understanding business in the tech space, because that was super new to me as someone who is still in school. But generally just trying to get a really full picture of what Seismic does.
Thanks, Isa. And while we have you, another question came in for you just about your transition from internship experience to career. And so I don't know if there's any like major call outs that you could share about that transition, just, anything you'd want to share.
Yeah, I really leaned on the community groups of belonging. Actually, fun fact, I created the Solo Seismic name as an intern, which I think is pretty funny. So yeah, I was really there from the beginning of like creating our Latinx group. And through that, I was able to have really strong mentors when I was like going through the decision process of like staying with Seismic. And also understanding like how my internship responsibilities were kind of bleeding into my full-time responsibilities. So once again, just like leaning on to the mentors that I had, the relationships that I created across the enablement team, but also the rest of our company was really important to me. So yeah, I really leaned on our community groups of belonging.
Great to hear. KAREEM, I know there's 2 questions that were directed towards you in the chat. So I don't know if you want to share just about crushing your numbers and like how challenging it is to meet those sales quotas. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure. I see PH there. Sorry, I don't know your full name there, but PH quotas are very, very attainable. They're definitely challenging, but it's always attainable, and you can certainly surpass your quota as well. And on top of that, your commission here is uncapped. I definitely don't want to get into the whole like pay structure and all that, but we do a really good job taking care of sellers here. And I've seen and heard of companies, potentially even worked for companies whose sales teams, they just don't hit quotas, and the company's in the habit of setting things up so that they don't have to pay their reps. And we're the complete opposite here. Our sales leaders, they truly invest in our success, and they want to see us succeed. So I don't know if that really helps answer the question, but the quotas are super attainable. As long as you show up and you do your job and you work hard, the rest Seismic will take care of, and you just have to hustle, and it's super attainable to hit your quotas. It's not unreasonable, if that helps.
Awesome, thank you.
What was the other question, Allison? I'm sorry.
I'm looking for it, but I don't see it now. I don't see it now. So, but yeah, if you have any other questions, we can always help answer, after this event. You'll have a way to stay in touch with us, and we'll send you all an email so you just kind of have an idea of where Seismic is going and our opportunities. Unfortunately, we only have about a minute left, and thank you so much for being engaged. And thank you to our panelists who joined us today and took time out of their day to chat with you all. Just a note on our careers website. So we have jobs that are, we have opportunities that are constantly being posted to our careers website. If there's not a job available for you right now, or something that doesn't seem interesting, feel free to check back. Every few weeks, we change what our workforce looks like, and we are fluid with, meeting the demands of our clients and our customers as well. So we will send you an email afterwards with some links and ways that you can stay in touch with us. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, and we hope, you found this valuable and learned a lot about Seismic today.